Making headlines in New Jersey, day 19 of the partial government shutdown and no end in sight. President Trump calling immigration a crisis in his address to the nation as the Democrats issue a scathing rebuttal. Plus, hundreds of people protesting in Paterson after the sudden death of a city man hours after he pleaded with police for help. And a car jumps a curb in Keyport, injuring several people, including 2 children. Your news starts right now.
FiOS 1 News, Morning Edition.
Good morning. It is 5 o'clock on this Wednesday, January 9th. You're watching FiOS 1 News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christine Persichetti. We'll have your top stories in just a moment, and Nicole Denado will have your traffic report. But first, let's get a check of the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Brian Fitzgerald. Good morning, Brian.
Christine, thanks so much. A good morning. Rain came down heavy in spots overnight, but that's out of here now. Drier conditions replacing it, and in its wake is going to come a strong, gusty wind. It's already starting to fill in and will become stronger as the morning and afternoon hours wear on. Current satellite radar picture, nothing going on. We are expecting predominantly dry day, but check out some of the winds already up to 20 miles per hour out of the west in Newark, and could gust even quite a bit higher than that. So that's going to give us wind chill values that take the temperatures that are in the low 40s and make them easily feel like they're well down into the 30s, even during the afternoon hours. We'll call it partly sunny skies. The rest of your 7-day forecast is coming up, plus the risk of some snow late in the weekend. That's a possibility. We'll talk about it in a few minutes.
Good morning. We are taking a quick look at what's happening out on the roads this morning. Here's a look at the New Jersey Turnpike. Empty right now, and it's for a good reason. We have a major accident happening just before Newark Airport right now, between the Goethals Bridge and exit 13A. A tractor trailer overturned and it caught on fire, so all lanes are closed there on the northbound side of the turnpike. So you'll have to use another way to go around in that area. And then further in the Crane Square area, we have a traffic signal down on Route 139, both directions south of North Broad Street. So use caution in both of these areas. Everything is looking good, though, if you are moving through Monmouth County this morning. So let's take a look at our drive times. Only 5 minutes across the George Washington Bridge, 7 through the Lincoln Tunnel, and 5 through the Holland. We have cancellations on New Jersey Transit this morning, the Northeast Corridor and North Jersey Line. Everything else is on or close to schedule. I'm Nicole Denado. That's your FiOS 1 News traffic report.
Another push for a multi-billion-dollar wall along the southern border from President Donald Trump. During his primetime address from the Oval Office, the president said there is a crisis with illegal drugs and criminals freely entering the United States undetected. He says that's straining public resources and driving down jobs and wages.
This is just common sense. The border wall would very quickly pay for itself. The cost of illegal drugs exceeds $500 billion a year, vastly more than the $5.7 billion we have requested from Congress.
The president also tried to address a recent criticism from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who questioned the ethics of walling off the border with Mexico to keep migrants out.
Some have suggested a barrier is immoral. Then why do wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes? They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside.
The president making his pitch as a partial federal government shutdown drags on for the 19th day, approaching the longest government shutdown in American history. Top Democrats issued a scathing response to the president's address, holding him accountable for the shutdown. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke out after the address.
Most presidents have used Oval Office addresses for noble purposes. This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration.
Speaker Pelosi noted the House passed legislation to reopen the government on the first day of the new Congress, but the president rejected it because it didn't have border wall funding. And we'll have more on President Trump's pitch for his border wall and the government shutdown, as well as more reaction later in the newscast. Protesters in Patterson demanding answers about the death of a 27-year-old man who showed up at police headquarters on Saturday and died at a hospital 2 days later. Files One's Christy Kalishian has more.
Can you do everything in your power to help me? This is what you're here for. That's all I'm asking.
A grieving mother looking for answers. This as protesters took to the streets in support of Jameek Lowery's family and demanding that the police department release answers as to how this father of three died in the hospital after seeking help from the police.
From the complex to the hospital. What did I do to my son?
On Saturday morning, Lowery posted a Facebook Live video of himself at the Patterson Police Headquarters asking for water, claiming that people were going to kill him. According to a statement from the Passaic County Prosecutor's Office, Lowery had reported to the police earlier saying he was on ecstasy and was paranoid. Lowery was then reportedly transported to a local hospital, but was said to be unresponsive on arrival and was pronounced dead on Monday morning. Patterson Mayor Andre Saya says he met Lowery at a restaurant in late December and that they had plans to meet at City Hall.
If there's anything I can do, I will. I'm pledging to you that I will. Because I care about you and your family.
Protesters chanting that the police were responsible for Lowery's death. The prosecutor's office says, quote, per initial reports and information, police used physical force and compliance holds to secure Mr. Lowery in the ambulance. Hospital records indicate no acute trauma. Still, questions remain as to what happened on the reported 5 to 12-minute trip to the hospital from the police headquarters.
If it takes me 10 years, I'm going to keep on opening this case until I get the truth.
So, Ms. King, I want to assure you that we've spent the last 4 days not just trying to get answers, but accurate answers. And we will get those accurate answers.
The Passaic County Prosecutor's Office urges anyone with additional information to contact its tips line at 1-877-370-PCPO. In Patterson, Christy Kalishian, Fios One News.
There are new concerns this morning over the planned implosion of the east anchor span of the old Tappan Zee Bridge. It's scheduled to take place Saturday morning, but will wind speeds allow for a smooth demolition? Here's Fios One's Ray Ramundi with a story you'll see first on Fios.
Along I-287, you see them everywhere, warning signs on highway marquees, preparing drivers for Saturday's impending implosion and the crippling traffic expected before that east anchor span comes falling down. But new concerns now from Controlled Demolition, the company responsible for the Kosciuszko Bridge implosion and the company responsible for the implosion of the span closest to Westchester. The CEO telling Fios One News he's closely monitoring the wind forecast on Saturday. He says anything above 20 miles per hour would have to delay the implosion.
Going in towards the time when the implosion is going to be going on during the 9 o'clock hour, you can see those winds coming on in, roughly have a northwesterly direction, but under 10 miles per hour for everyone. So I don't think we're going to have to be too concerned with the winds being a factor for what's at hand that day.
Terrytown Police Chief John Barbalet conducting walkthroughs ahead of Super Saturday here in Terrytown. The chief is deploying extra resources and officers in Terrytown to mitigate crippling traffic ahead of spectators converging here to witness the spectacle over the Hudson.
It's the unknown, so we'll prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Not only is the village preparing for the host of people that will embark here to watch the implosion on the Hudson River on Saturday, but the village is also preparing for 2 movie shoots that will happen here within the next coming days after the implosion.
We'll have additional officers on. We're going to limit parking and limit vehicle access to several roads in Tarrytown to kind of control where the people go.
Controlled Demolition has conducted dozens upon dozens of similar implosions of bridges throughout New York for decades. The implosion of the Kosciuszko Bridge in October of 2017, 20 spans were detonated in that controlled implosion.
This is, the first time for any of us, so we're going to kind of, rely on our past experiences and do the best job we can.
The police chief urging patrons to view the implosion from Pearson Park and the village library, as all eyes will be waiting for a boom in this nearby village, which will be talked about for years to come. In Terrytown, Ray Ramundi, Fios One News.
And, of course, be sure to stay with Fios One News for continuing coverage of the Tappan Zee Bridge implosion. A car jumped the curb in Keyport, injuring a woman and 2 children. Witnesses say they were walking along Butler Street yesterday when they were hit. The car, a black Acura TL, ended up pinned against a telephone pole. Witnesses say the driver struggled to get out of the car because of her injuries. It's unclear how seriously hurt the people who were hit are. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. Confirmation this morning that a child here in New Jersey has died of the flu. Coming up, where that child lived and what you can do to protect yourself.
FiOS 1 News.